Daniel never planned to become a hero in anyone's story. As a single dad, his world was already heavy enough. Each day began before sunrise, packing lunch for his daughter Mia, getting her ready for school, hurrying to work, and returning home just in time to help with homework. Life was simple, predictable, and often exhausting. But despite everything, Daniel carried one quiet strength. He never ignored people who were hurting, even when everyone else did. One chilly evening, Daniel picked up Mia from her dance class. She talked excitedly about her day as they walked toward the bus stop. That's when Daniel saw her, the young woman sitting alone near the closed bakery shop. Her clothes were clean but worn, her hair tied loosely like she had given up trying to look presentable, and her shoulders were curled in a way that told a silent story of defeat. People passed her like she was invisible. Some glanced at her with suspicion, others with indifference. Not a single person stopped. Something about her sadness struck Daniel deeply. She wasn't begging, she wasn't calling out, she wasn't causing trouble. She was simply sitting there with her hands pressed together, as if she was holding on to the last remaining strength she had. Her eyes were red, not from the cold but from tears she had wiped away hoping nobody would see. Little Mia noticed too. She tugged Daniel's sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, she looks so sad. Can we ask if she's okay?" Daniel paused. He didn't want to intrude, but he also knew how it felt to be broken and unnoticed. After losing his wife, he had stood outside the hospital by himself, people rushing around him, not realizing his world had just collapsed. That memory pushed him forward. He approached the woman gently. "Excuse me," he said softly, "are you all right? Do you need help?" The woman lifted her head slowly, startled that someone had actually spoken to her. I'm fine," she said quickly, wiping her cheeks. "I'm just resting." Her voice trembled. It was clear she was not fine. Daniel offered a warm smile. "My daughter and I are just waiting for the bus. If you need anything, we're right here." Something in his tone, kind, genuine, patient, made her lips quiver. She had been ignored by dozens of people that day. But this stranger, this single dad with tired eyes and a gentle voice, saw her. After a long silence she finally spoke. "My name is Sarah," she whispered. "And, I'm not okay." She looked ashamed for admitting it. Daniel sat down a small distance away, not too close, giving her comfort without pressure. "You don't have to tell us anything," he said, "but we're listening if you want to share." Sarah took a deep breath, gathering courage she didn't know she still had. She explained that she had moved to the city for a job that disappeared the day she arrived. The place she rented wasn't safe, and she had been too afraid to go back. She had been looking for work all day without eating, without resting, without anyone noticing she was falling apart. "I didn't want to ask strangers," she whispered, tears running freely now. "I didn't want to be a burden." Mia gently placed her small hand on Sarah's arm. "You're not a burden," she said with the pure innocence only a child can give. Sarah broke into silent sobs. Daniel knew that no one deserved to suffer alone. "Look," he said softly, "how about you come have dinner with us? Just a warm meal. No expectations." Sarah shook her head quickly. "I don't want charity." "It's not charity," Daniel replied. "It's kindness. And kindness is something we all need at some point." Those words made something inside her break, something that needed to break so she could finally breathe again. That night, Sarah sat at Daniel's small kitchen table while Mia fetched her drawings, proudly showing them off. The laughter that filled the room was light and healing. For the first time in many days, Sarah felt safe. She felt seen. She felt like she wasn't disappearing. As they ate, Daniel noticed her looking quietly at the community bulletin board he had on his wall. Old job flyers, schedules, little reminders, nothing special. But Sarah stared at the one that said, "Community Center seeking part-time assistant. Immediate start. They're still hiring," Daniel said. "And I know the manager. I could mention your name." Sarah's eyes widened. "You would help me get a job. You deserve a chance," Daniel said. "Everyone does." Those simple words wrapped her in hope she thought she had lost forever. The next morning, Daniel drove her to the community center. She was nervous, adjusting her old coat, rehearsing answers in her head. Before she walked inside, she whispered, "Thank you for stepping in when everyone else walked past me." Daniel responded with a gentle smile. "Sometimes we just need one person to believe in us." The interview lasted less than 20 minutes. When she stepped outside, her hands were trembling. Daniel held his breath, ready to comfort her. "They hired me," she said, barely able to speak. Then she burst into grateful tears. "They actually hired me." Mia jumped up and down cheering. Daniel felt warmth spread through him, a feeling he hadn't felt since before his wife passed away. It was the feeling of helping someone rise again. Over the next few weeks, Sarah's life changed slowly but beautifully. She found a small, safe room to rent. She bought clothes that made her feel human again. She started smiling more, laughing freely, holding herself with confidence she thought she would never have again. Every few days she visited Daniel and Mia, always offering something: homemade soup, help with chores, or simply her new bright energy. She became part of their small world in a way none of them expected. One evening, after dinner, Daniel and Sarah talked in the quiet living room while Mia slept. She told him how she used to cry herself to sleep, how she felt like a shadow walking through life unnoticed, and how one small moment, his decision to approach her, changed everything. "You saw me when I felt invisible," she whispered. "You stepped in when everyone ignored me." Daniel replied softly, "I didn't do anything special. I just did what I hoped someone would do for Mia if she ever needed help." But Sarah shook her head. "No, you did more than you think. You gave me back my self-worth." That night, Daniel realized something important: kindness doesn't require wealth, power, or perfection. It only requires noticing someone's pain and choosing not to walk away. As days turned into weeks, the bond between Sarah and Daniel grew deeper. Not romantic, not rushed, not dramatic, just two souls healing in the presence of one another. She brought color back into his life, and he brought stability back into hers. People in the community even began to notice the change. They saw how Sarah blossomed, how she carried herself with pride, how she greeted everyone with warmth. No one knew the full story, but they knew she had been lifted by someone's kindness. One afternoon, months later, Sarah stood in the park where they first met. She watched kids playing, couples laughing, people walking by. And she whispered to herself, "I was one of them once, invisible, forgotten." Then she smiled. Because now she wasn't invisible anymore. Daniel had stepped in when everyone ignored her, and that one brave, compassionate moment had rewritten her entire life. Sometimes a person doesn't need saving. Sometimes they just need someone to see them. And sometimes, that is enough to inspire the world.